Thank you for being here this morning. I know it's early for a Wednesday, and after a long week, it's great to have you with us this morning for breakfast. I want to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors, our platinum sponsor, AltaGas, and then our diamond level sponsors, Amazon, Canadian Association of Petroleum Producers, Consulate General of Canada, MasterCard, MNP, the Pacific Northwest Building Resilience Coalition, Suncor, and our energy roundtable sponsors, Tourmaline, Oventive, and ConocoPhillips. So let's give our sponsors a hand. And I hope everybody had a good night last night out dining out on the town. I know Senator Tobin and Senator Smith created PNWER's first karaoke caucus. So I think a few MLAs and state representative senators sang their hearts out last night. So we'll keep that tradition going next year in Boise. Also, I have an announcement. MLA Roosevelt from Alberta is over here. If you're from Alberta, go see Garth. He's got something that he wants you to do. So all Alberta delegates, go see Garth. This conference wouldn't happen without our incredible PNWER staff, and I want to take this opportunity to recognize all of them. And as I think most of them are in the back, some are still running around trying to do a few different tasks. But I want to thank Sumi, Doug, Hannah, Tom, Bruce, Patty, Ben, Tara, Nate, Steve, and I especially want to recognize Rachel Kopp. Rachel is the Rachel starts planning these meetings 2 years in advance. She's already looking at 2028 British Columbia. So Rachel, great job. This meeting has been excellent, and I've heard a lot of compliments. And thanks to the rest of the staff. We had 2 staff members drive a carload of equipment up from Seattle, Hannah and Ben. They go above and beyond the call of duty. So thanks to all of them. All right, now we have another special award that we present every year, and it's the Alan Bluchel Founders Award. And Senator Bluchel created PNWER in 1991, and he was born in Saskatchewan. He went to college in British Columbia, and then he was in the Washington legislature for 28 years. And he envisioned this organization and what it could become. And he met a co-founder, Jim Horseman, in Florida, of all places. And Jim was from Alberta. And they started talking, and Alan explained what he was envisioning. And Jim said, I love it. Let's create it. Let's put it together. And he thought it would take several years, that because PNWER was a statutory creation of the legislature, they had to pass a bill in each state to create the organization. And he thought it would take a few years to do that. And he did it in 1 year. And only 2 legislators voted against it in the whole region. So it was his vision that created this. And Alan was a visionary in that he looked beyond borders and looked beyond party lines. And he really worked to build consensus and trust and relationships. And that's what this organization is all about. So I want to invite up our Founders Award recipient, Dr. Laurie Trautman, for Western Washington University. And I've worked with Laurie for over 10 years. She's chaired our border working group. She leads the Border Policy Research Institute, and it's the only US-Canada research institution in North America. And as more and more of our research and collaborative groups are getting closed or reduced funding, Laurie is still here. And when any reporters call and ask for quotes or comments on border, I always tell them, you should call Laurie because she's the best. So I want to present Laurie with the PNWER Founders Award, and then we'll have you say a few words.
Well, it's very meaningful for me to receive this award. I know many of you, but certainly don't know most of you. In June of 2014, I graduated with my degree from the University of Oregon. Are there any ducks in the room? No ducks? Okay. 2 weeks later, I moved to Bellingham and started my job at the Border Policy Research Institute. And 2 weeks after that, I went to my first PNWER Summit in Whistler. I didn't know a single person there. It was a little intimidating, but pretty quickly I felt part of that community. And I am very, very grateful for being part of this community and finding it so early on, because that partnership has served me really well. The work that I do, which is basically about understanding the influence of the border and the friction that the border can create in our cross-border relationships, I don't think that work would be possible without the close partnership that I've had with PNWER. So it's been a very meaningful partnership for me and a very rewarding one. So I just want to thank again all of you for being part of this organization. Thank Matt and Brandon and Steve and all of the PNWER staff, and especially Tara and Rachel and Nate, who are my colleagues, but I think over the years have really become my friends. And I do blame them for keeping me out at the karaoke bar late last night, which is why I sound like a little bit of a frog. But thanks very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, next I'd like to invite Alex Giordano up. He's the program manager and research manager for the new North American Initiative. And this is at the University of Calgary School of Public Policy. And he's going to provide us an overview of this new initiative that they just launched here in Alberta. And we look forward to working with him and his team. So Alex, come on up.
Hi, everyone. So I'm a new face to PNWER, but it's a great pleasure to be here in Edmonton with everyone here. I want to send a special thank you to the PNWER team for giving me this incredible honor to speak to such a room. I'm at the young age of 27, and it is my first PNWER, so given this opportunity is quite an honor. Before I get into a little bit about some of our work, I'll keep my remarks real brief. I want to give a special shout out to some of the folks in the room that helped build up this initiative. First off is my boss and the director of the New North America Initiative, Carlo Dade, who may be familiar to some of you in the room. He's unable to be here today, so I'm speaking for the initiative on his behalf. Also, I'd like to thank Nathan Cooper, Alberta's senior representative to the United States, for their collaboration and their help setting up this initiative and giving us the support we need to take it off the ground. And lastly, I'd like to thank the various Alberta deputy ministers here in the room and some who aren't able to make it here today, who have also helped us shape this vision. So what is the New North America Initiative? So we're a new initiative based out of the University of Calgary School of Public Policy, building on some of the momentum for many decades that organizations like PNWER and others have been able to build. So what does that look like? We're trying to mirror academia, the next generation of leaders who will work for your businesses, who will staff your government offices with the ideas that are emerging now in the Canada-US relationship. So first off, we've decided to take a new approach. Instead of simply publishing reports and having them sit on shelves, we aim to integrate the next generation into that process. And I like to think maybe perhaps a little irony there is that myself, I'm able to speak at a conference like this is a little bit of symbolism for what we aim to achieve. But what does that look like in practice? So about 1.5 months ago, we held our first inaugural summit in Calgary, where we brought a group of experts into the room and we asked them to bring their successors. So the next generation in the room, giving them an opportunity to learn and have their views heard. They have a stake in the future of the Canada-US relationship, and I think it's important to be proactive in giving them that opportunity to speak, to listen, and to build the kind of connections that we build at organizations like PNWER, which are so valuable. So that's the first pillar, the next generation. The next is looking at key trade issues that we face. Canada, US, but also Mexico. So we undertook the first study done in Canada, looking at the impact of the shift from the IEEPA tariffs to the 232 sectoral tariffs across Canadian provinces. And some of those reports are out in the hall at the little booth. So if you're interested, please do come say hi. In terms of what that looked like, it's different. The way Alberta is affected by a shift in tariff regime looks different than the way Ontario and Quebec is. And I think that explains a little bit of the politics that follows that as well. And we're really happy to play a positive, forward-looking, collaborative approach to that to raise awareness on some of those issues. So that's the second. Reports that don't simply sit on the shelf, but that are actionable, that government cares about, and that business is interested in. And thirdly and lastly is building other partnerships with US universities and institutions. So one name that many in this room may know is Christopher Sands, who was my former professor, and now he's leading the North America team at the Brookings Institute. So we're undertaking an initiative with them to look at different scenarios for the trade negotiations of USMCA or CUSMA. And what we're doing is we're taking 4 scenarios and looking at what those would mean for business or for government, whether that's a status quo, a 10% baseline for Canada and Mexico entering the US market, a 25% baseline, and everything in between. These are the types of quantitative and qualitative work that I think build more information and a positive vision for the future. So those are our 3 pillars. But if I could summarize it in one question is, back to the next generation piece, why would we not want the next generation to be informed, interested, and up to date on a lot of these issues that we're discussing today, but also we'll be discussing in forums in the future? Next year in Idaho, I'm sure a lot of the issues will still come up. We want the next generation involved because it's their future just as it is ours. And because of that, I thank you for your time today. And if you'd like to hear a little bit more about our initiative, I'll be just out in the hall. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Alex. Now I'd like to invite up our president, Travis Kiesig, to make some farewell remarks as we close out his presidency. And I've really had the pleasure of working with Travis over the past year, traveling around the region, making trips to Ottawa and Idaho and Olympia, and really got to know him as a close friend and also a colleague here at PNWER. And Travis not only represents Saskatchewan very well across the region, but also all of our jurisdictions. So he was advocating on behalf of all of our states and provinces, and whether it's tourism, energy, transportation, and trade, he did a great job representing PNWER as a whole. So Travis, I'd like to present you with the President's Obelisk. The floor is yours.
Well, it's always a little risky giving the floor to a politician. But thank you, everyone, for joining us here this morning on our final day of the 35th Annual Summit. It's been an incredibly valuable few days, and I know I will be taking a lot of insight, a lot of new ideas, and a lot of new connections back with me to Saskatchewan. Thank you to all of the PNWER team and the staff who work tirelessly to bring these events to life. Thank you to the Alberta Hosting Committee, Shane, Garth, the entire Alberta team. You guys hit it out of the park, did a heck of a job. I want to thank all of my Saskatchewan colleagues. They take time out of their very busy schedule to come, attend, and bring insight, serve on panels, and do a great job. Thank you to all my colleagues. I am proud to be from Saskatchewan, but I'm really proud to work with each and every one of them each and every day. I also want to thank all of the speakers for sharing their expertise and experience so openly, and it just provides so much insight to each and every one of us attending. I want to thank Ambassador Hoekstra and Premier Daniel Smith for taking time out of their busy schedules to come in. And I also want to thank all of you here today for being so engaged, so willing to learn and listen. The work we do together at PNWER matters. It's really important that we continue this moving forward. In the PNWER jurisdiction between us, we represent some of the most powerful players in global agriculture, energy, mining, and supply chains. While we all have our own goals and priorities, we also share a lot of common ground. And it's truly been an honor and a privilege to serve as the PNWER president. During my tenure, I've been proud to oversee and attend many important events, capital visits to Ottawa, Washington, Idaho, and Alaska. The Build Northwest Economic Forum in Portland last October. And I also had the opportunity to host an aquatic invasive species event in my home province of Saskatchewan. Throughout my term, I've seen our organization make great progress on initiatives that really matter. We've advanced work on economic corridors, on trade and tariff advocacy. And at this point in time, I mean, that is front and center. It's all over the media with the 30-day time limit before tariffs come on Canada. And I've said this in Portland, and I will say this here. Canada's largest trading partner for the last 150 years was the United States of America, and Canada's largest trading partner for the next 150 years is the United States of America. Some of this work is very challenging, but there's no organization that I am prouder to work with than PNWER. I've seen firsthand how our members are able to set aside differences and work for the best interests of the Pacific Northwest economic region. While we all come from our unique jurisdictions, we can still find common ground, and that is worth celebrating. It's also been wonderful to see that same spirit reflected during the FIFA World Cup this year, another initiative we all work together on. As North America passed the World Cup hosting torch just a few days ago, I too will pass the torch to the next PNWER president. It's my pleasure to welcome our new PNWER president, Representative Britt Raybould of Idaho. Congratulations, Britt. I have every confidence that you will lead this team through the next year, and you're going to do an absolutely fantastic job. Looking forward to see what you do with your presidency, and looking forward to Boise next year. Thank you all very much. Let's open.
Okay, first off, I didn't bring a suitcase big enough for the gavel, so that's going to be fun. It is a pleasure to be here and an honor to represent this organization. I am under no illusions about the challenges that we face, but in the course of the relationships that I have built at my time at PNWER, and even during this last week, as I have discussed with people what we can do to improve relations between our two nations, what I keep coming back to is it's about you, the business leaders, the elected officials, the public facing experience that you have to go and advocate, not only for the interests of who you represent directly, but because you believe and see something bigger than what any one of us can accomplish alone. And PNWER to me has always represented a combination of those values between our two nations that we share. And so as I look at what we have to overcome in the weeks and months ahead, what I am confident about is that I don't see individuals or groups who are willing to give up. We are here in the fight, prepared to stand up for what we know is ultimately in the best interests of our states, provinces, and nations, which is a strong, ongoing relationship. In Idaho, Canada is our largest export partner. Idaho has an export market of roughly 4.6 billion per year, and last year, 1.8 billion of that was exported to Canada. Over 15,000 Idahoans have jobs that depend on this export market. And of the businesses who are in the export business, over 1,400 of them are small businesses that employ less than 500 people. This is something that I know matters very much in our state. And I am committed during the next year to ensuring that the message of why we need to work together on these issues to find a resolution for the future matters so much. This isn't about DC or Ottawa. This is about Boise. This is about Olympia. I'm going to blank on all of the rest of them, aren't I? Anyway, suffice to say, this is about our individual communities and our individual states and provinces. And at the end of the day, that's where our obligation rests, is to show up for those people, whether we've been elected to serve them or we are representing them in our communities as those business leaders. I see so much opportunity in front of us. And I know that at the moment, it feels like there is a lot that we have to overcome in order to experience that opportunity. But I know that we can get there. And I am incredibly grateful for the organization of PNWER, for the team that we have behind us, for Brandon, and for those who are showing up every day to help us accomplish these goals. Travis, you did an excellent job as president in this past year. I'm guessing there were more than a few things that came up that were unexpected. And I suspect that this next year will have more than its fair share of other unexpected moments. But because we are working together and we have proven history of doing so and doing it well, I know that we can continue to find those opportunities for agreement, and that when we do disagree, it's not going to be out of malice or negligence, but instead it's going to be out of the fact that we are representing who brought us here. And we will find that path forward. Now, I'm going to call out someone who I think most of you maybe know, but if you don't, you should. Representative Mary Dye. She is a representative in a state where her party sits in the minority. And yet, Representative Dye has not let that quiet her voice in any way, shape, or form. She has stood up, she has called out, she has defended the issues that matter the most to her. And I look at her as an example of what we have to offer as an organization. Even if we happen to be in a position where we don't necessarily have the upper hand at any given moment, we have a voice, we have the ability to advocate, and we have an opportunity to extend that hand of fellowship to each other, even when we disagree. So here's my call to action: be more like Representative Mary Dye. So with that said, I would like to extend a huge invitation to come and join us in Boise next summer for our annual meeting, July 25th through the 29th. Now, I'm clearly biased, but I really like Boise, and I think you will too. And I have a high level of confidence that the group that is working with me to help put the event together will have not only great learning opportunities, but I think you might even come and have some fun. Boise is one of those cities where you can be in the immediate downtown, and yet at the same time, there's a certain amount of small town feel to it. It's very walkable, it's easy to get around, and there's a lot of things to do in the surrounding community if you want to bring your family with you. And with that, I think we have a video teed up from Idaho's Governor Brad Little, and so I'd like to share his invitation with you.
Hi, I'm Idaho Governor Brad Little. I hope the time you spend together at this annual conference is productive and memorable. When you wrap up this year's conference, I have an invitation for you. Next year, we're excited to welcome you to Boise, Idaho for the 2027 PNWER Annual Summit. Idaho is leading the way in innovation, energy, agriculture, technology, and trade. We're proud to be one of the fastest growing economies in the nation while staying true to the endearing values that made our state special: strong communities, common sense leadership, and a spirit of collaboration. PNWER has always been about bringing people together to solve challenges, create opportunities across borders. There's no better place to continue that important work than Idaho. While you're here next year, I hope you'll experience our incredible hospitality, vibrant downtown, beautiful outdoors, and the people who make Idaho such a great place to live, work, and do business. Teresa and I can't wait to welcome you to Boise next year. Safe travels, and we'll see you in Idaho.
Again, thank you to everyone who is here this week. We can't do it without you. It is definitely a team effort, and I have so much appreciation and look forward to the work that we can hopefully get accomplished during this next year. So thank you.
Members of PNWER, we're so happy to have you all here today. And Travis Kisick has been a great president of PNWER. His first mistake was today, right now. He jumped off script and forgot that there was a presentation to be made before he left the podium. So Travis, come on back up. Winners grow winners. That's a quote I picked up earlier in the session. I wrote it down. Now, there's been many challenges to PNWER's this year. I've observed and been part of PNWER since 2011. And I can honestly say Travis is one of the best leaders that PNWER has had. Times have not always been easy. Travis is a special guy. PNWER will always be better because he was here. So I brought a little gift, and whether he wants to go home and soak his head or celebrate, at any rate, a few ounces of Crown Royal. Crown Royal. Thank you, Travis. It's been a great day. You can keep the special wrapping paper.
Oh, well, thank you, Mike. I will not be having a drink this morning like the other one, but anyway, thank you, Mike. And it's, truly an honor. And I'm joining the club of past PNWER presidents. Britt, you will be there shortly. It's an illustrious group. Thank you very much, Mike. It's been an honor of a lifetime to work with everyone here. Have a great rest of your conference.
Okay, a couple of announcements before we head out. If you're on a policy tour, buses will depart at 1:45, so we don't have a lot of time in between lunch and leaving. All the policy tours are full, so if you're on a waiting list and you didn't get on the tour, unfortunately, we didn't have space. So be ready to go at 1:45. And then if you're on a tour tomorrow, the tour to Christina Lake leaves at 6:45, bright and early. And then that Alberta Industrial Heartland tour leaves at 9 a.m. So just a heads up for tomorrow morning. So that's it. We're going to break and then we'll continue our sessions. So thank you.